Yes, so the next loan action is tranche disbursement, right? So the meaning of tranche is paying the loan in parts, right? So we have discussed about the use cases earlier. So the basic use case being uh, like in case of construction, yeah, home construction. So the NBFC um, can choose to pay the customer according to the construction, how much the construction is done. So if so, there might be a condition given to the customer that if the customer constructs for example, if the base of the house, then 30% amount would be disbursed. If a customer constructs maybe the first floor, then the ground floor, then remaining 30, and after second floor, the whole the remaining 40%, right? So why these conditions generally are given in construction loans? For so it is beneficial for both NBFC and the customer. For NBFC, so it is important for the NBFC to make sure that the funds given to the customer are being used in the right thing, right? So if customer has taken loan for construction, he should not be using those funds for something else, right? Else the chance of delinquency are higher, right? Also, for customer, if he gets the entire amount once together, he'll pay interest on the entire amount, even if he's not using that amount, right? So, in case of the builder might take money part by part from the customer. So, customer would also like a similar manner, money in similar manner from the NBFC. So that's why it is beneficial for both, right? Uh, it in case of tranche, NBFC might earn lesser interest, but at least they are securing the end use of the loan, right? So, other use cases of tranche, can anyone highlight any other use case apart from construction loan?
Education loan. NBFC gets benefit because if they don't start the principal recovery, they can get the interest and interest for the loan.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I just got it wrong. So NBFC would no. Basically, in this case,
Installments. Yes.
so in this okay. So in this case, hmm, so there can be two things. Either in case of tranche, NBFC can choose only to get the interest until the full disbursement is done, or they can choose to get both interest and principal, right? So in case NBFC is only taking the interest until full disbursement is done, then it would be beneficial for them. But if they're taking both interest and principal, then it would be beneficial for the customer because interest, I mean, he's also repaying the principal from day one, and interest being accrued is on lesser amount. So I'll explain this in detail later. So we are discussing about the other use cases of tranche. So education loan is another use case of tranche. So in case of education loan, the student might need funds semester wise, right? So if the semester is of 6 months, so in first semester he might need 1 lakh rupees. In next semester after 6 months he might need 1 lakh rupees, right? So in that case, why would the customer take entire thing together and then pay interest for the whole amount? So he might choose parts, right? And NBFC would also be happy to give customer funds in part so that customer does not use that money to for something else. So in case of education loan, it is also one of the use cases of tranche disbursement. Any other use case which you can think of? Crop loan. So can you explain the use case?
Basically,
उससे बोलो, इंग्लिश में बोलो.
oh, listen, there are multiple uses of problem. For example, for sowing, farmer requires some amount for reaping. They require
So okay, so there are various phases for a crop cycle, right? So each phase can have different fund requirements. So in crop loans also the funds can be. So in AU Bank, I think we are doing this. So in AU Bank, the uses of tranche is this only. So farmer might require funds according to the stage of the crops, right? So it is also one of the use case of tranche.
business expansion.
Hmm. So in business expansion, generally a revolving line is given. So a line is given from which the customer can withdraw anytime. So that is also kind of tranche, but in our system, it is a revolving loan, right? So tranche generally is done in our system. It is done with non-revolving loan. So yeah, these are some of the use cases of tranche, right? Now moving forward, in LMS, the origination of tranche is done through LOS only. In LOS, while creating the loan, there is an option to choose whether the loan is a tranche case or a fully disbursed case, right? So here, when you go in the list view of the LMS, here there is a there is an option called fully disbursed. So it should be disbursed, by the way. So these are loans are fully disbursed, right? These red tags are partially disbursed loans, which means these are tranche cases. So these loans were created from LOS as tranche loans, right? So while creating the loan in LOS, they choose they ultimately, if the loan amount is of 30 lakh rupees, they'll choose the amount of first tranche in LOS. So let's say in first tranche they want to pay 12 lakh rupees. So they'll disburse the loan as sanction amount of 30 lakh rupees and the first tranche amount as 12 lakh rupees. So I'll open a tranche loan. So this is a partially disbursed loan. Here the loan amount is 50 lakh rupees and only 10 lakh rupees is disbursed till now, because the balance principal is being shown as 10 lakh, right? So let's go to the loan disbursal details. So this table shows the tranches, right? So total loan amount is 50 lakh rupees. First tranche is of 10 lakh rupees, which has come from LOS. So always the first tranche would be disbursed, which would be configured in LOS, would be sent from LOS, right? If the loan is coming from LOS, the subsequent tranches would directly be done in LMS, right? So here only one tranche is disbursed. Now, in most of the cases, NBFC chooses to only collect interest until complete disbursement is done for ensuring that they do not lose on interest income, right? So generally, because generally this is the case, so the repayment schedule which is created is like this, that the 10 lakh rupees of tranche would only have the interest amount. There is no principal in that. So this is the repayment schedule which is created for entire 180 months. The last schedule would have the principal amount, right? So generally before the last schedule they'll disburse all the tranches. So this is a temporary repayment schedule which is shown in the end, but every month they only collect the interest until the next tranche is disbursed. Here in this case, three installments are due. So customer has not paid the interest amount for the three installments, right? So this is the most likely case, because NBC do not want to lose on interest. So they'll simply choose to only get interest until full disbursement is done. Clear? So this is a picture of first tranche disbursed. Now let's say we want to disburse subsequent tranches, right? Generally, if customer is not paying EMIs, NBFCs won't give them more money, but this is a testing case, so we'll be able to disburse more tranches here. So let's go to tranche disbursement in loan actions. There are some static fields being shown here: disbursal date, sanction amount, right? Just for representation. Now disbursal status. This status would show whether the loan is fully disbursed, or I mean, after this tranche, will the loan get fully disbursed or it would be partially disbursed. Ideally, it should be auto-populated, but we have option to choose here. So let's say we'll partially disburse this loan, and total amount of 50 lakh and 10 is paid, then 40 lakh is pending. So let's say I only pay 25 lakh now. So this depends on terms of with the customer. So if I'm paying 25 lakhs, now this is also kind of rescheduling, because the repayment schedule would change. Earlier, he was paying interest on 10 lakh rupees. Now he'll pay interest on 35. Yes, on 35 lakhs, 10 plus 25, right? So these are representation fields. There is a option here is broken period. Adjust this. I'm also very bad English written here. I'm also not able to get this. So this should be, the meaning of this should be yeah, it should be adjusted. So if we are adjusting the broken period from the payment amount, then this might be chosen. So I'll explain this. Just give me a moment. So I'll explain the other fields first. So here, like I said, NBFC is an option to either collect only interest until full tranche is disbursed, or they can also collect principal, right? So after the second tranche is disbursed, if I want to start the principal recovery, I'll choose yes here, right? But the default option is no. Generally, NBFCs do not choose to get principal until full tranche is disbursed. So there is an option to choose here. Then curtail. The meaning of curtail is if initial agreement of was of 50 lakh rupees, now customer after disbursing 25 lakh rupees, customer says that I do not want anything else, any more money. So they'll curtail the loan, which means the loan would be of 35 lakhs only. They won't give any other tranche from the in any other subsequent tranche. So they'll choose curtail as yes here. This would have no impact on repayment schedule. It's just that the loan would be uh, the principal recovery would start. So if we choose yes, we'll have to start the principal recovery because there would be no further tranches being disbursed, right? So let's not curtail it and see the basic case. Include broken period. The meaning of this field is whether to create a separate entry of broken period interest or add it with the next installment. That this is very, not self-explanatory. We always take the interest of broken period. This field is only specifying whether it has to be uh, a separate entry of that or it would be part of the next installment, right? Then extend tenure. So meaning of this is, so let's say if till the final tranche is disbursed, so original tenure was 180 months, and after 8 months the final tranche was disbursed. Now if I choose extend tenure as yes, then after 8 months another 180 months would be given to the customer, which would make the entire loan tenure as 188 months. So if I choose yes, then the tenure would become 188 months because 8 months were the tranche months of pre-EMI and 180 was the normal. And if I choose no, then after 8 months only 172 months would be added, which would make the loan of 180 months. So tenure would not extend here, original tenure, right? So this is that. Generally, customers extend the tenure because they might earn more interest because of the more tenure, right? So these are the options while creating a tranche. Now let's see the repayment schedule. I can also add a new charge here while creating a tranche. Like some customers charge processing fee for giving a new tranche, right? I can I can add a processing fees charge here. There are some outstanding charges here. Those can also, I mean, those can also be adjusted against the tranche amount. So if I adjust this charge, so I'll have to pay lesser amount to the customer. So from that tranche amount, the charge would also be adjusted, right? If I adjust here. So tranche amount is 25 lakh rupees. I have adjusted charges. So net disbursal amount becomes 24,99,213. Okay, something has broken. So it becomes 24,93,915. There is some problem with this form, I guess. So if I adjust the charges, then the tranche amount, net disbursal amount would reduce. Just like a new loan, if I am adjusting charges while giving a new loan, I'll have to pay lesser to the customer, right? Similarly, here also, if the tranche amount is 25 lakh rupees, and if I adjust some charges, then I'll pay to customer after adjusting those charges, right? So let's take a basic example first. Let's not adjust any charges so that it is easier to understand. Now, similar to rescheduling, there is an option to preview repayment schedule, right? When I go to preview, this is the preview. These were the installments which are already passed, the first three. After the installment, there is a TD, tranche disbursement entry. TD is the uh, yeah, it denotes tranche. So opening balance was 10 lakh rupees, 25 lakh was given, so the closing balance is 35 lakh rupees, right? So the next installments would come on 35 lakh rupees. So this is reverse of part payment. In part payment, principal reduces, in tranche, principal increases, right? So the first installment after the tranche would be calculated on both the amounts, both 10 lakh and 35 lakh rupees from fifth to 8th, it would be on 10 lakh rupees. From 8th to next 5th, would be on 35 lakh rupees. Similar to part payment, just opposite in impact, right? Clear? So only second tranche is being disbursed here. So the repayment schedule, the last repayment would be similar way only. And if we are disbursing the final tranche, right? So if I'm disbursing the entire 35 lakh rupees which was left, now I have to mark it as fully disbursed. I'll have to start the principal recovery, right? And then let's see the repayment schedule. So if tranche is disbursed completely, first for the pre okay, PEMI is pre-EMI. This denotes that this installment will contain only interest. So meaning of PEMI is interest only, right? So you guys must ask about these terms if you see something which is not clear, right? So I might miss something. So you guys should ask. So these were the pre-EMIs. Then there was a tranche disbursement. Then after tranche also there is a broken period interest. Generally, only interest installment is denoted as PEMI, pre-EMI. So because tranche was done in mid of the month, so there was a broken period, just like a new loan is created. That's why there is a separate entry of only interest after the first tranche, and then the final tranches are starting from the fifth installment. The tenure becomes 185 because we extended the tenure. It has become 184.
What would be the repayment start date?
The repayment start date should ideally be 5th of October, but I don't think we changed that. I'm not sure if we changed that.
But why the installments being started on?
So repayment can either be this or this. Repayment means it is not always principal entry. Repayment can also be this entry. It is quite confusing whether the repayment should be considered as this, the first one, or the one from which the actual principal started, right? So I'm also not sure if repayment is this or this, repayment start date. So it is quite confusing. So this is the repayment schedule after tranche is done. Clear? So there can be multiple tranches. There can be 2, 3, 4 tranches. But ultimately, in the final tranche, principal recovery has to be started. If we do not start the principal recovery, customer will only pay the interest. And suddenly, after in the last installment, he'll have to pay the entire interest and entire principal. So here we have extended the tenure. If we choose no as extend tenure, then the last installment would be of 180. I mean, the loan would be of 180 months only, even after having 4 pre-EMIs, right? So in this case, will the installment increase or decrease, Anand? Installments. In which case? I discussed about a case, right? The case was not extending the tenure, right? If I'm not extending the tenure, will the installment decrease or increase from the one when I extend the tenure? The tenure, same thing. The EMI would increase. Why will it increase? Because keeping that tenure, as we discussed basically, we discussed that EMI and tenures are basically inversely proportional. So one or other, if one decreases, basically the other will increase. Yeah, so the installment was initially calculated according to 180 months, right? If I'm not extending it, so the effective tenure is 176 only because there are 4 pre-EMIs, right? So now the installment would be calculated according to 176 months instead of 180. So because tenure is reduced, the installment amount would increase, right? But if I extend the tenure, the installment would be original only because whatever original installment should have been calculated would be on according to 180 months. 180 months on 45 lakh rupees at 10%, right? Clear? So we have seen all the options. There is an option of is broken period adjust. Let's make it yes. Let's see the impact. So here I think the broken period would be adjusted against the out payment amount. I'm not sure if this field is functioning. इसकी डेट बना दो, ये बेकार सा फील्ड है कुछ, एटलीस्ट अंडरस्टैंड कर पाए नाम से, है ना? क्या होता है मुझे बताना है इसका, इस ब्रोकन पीरियड एडजस्ट, सो आई एम नॉट श्योर अबाउट दिस फील्ड. So 35 lakh rupees and loan is fully disbursed. Let's create this request. Sajid will have to approve this. And that is acha. Whenever we are creating a tranche now, we'll have to create a disbursal breakup entry just like a new loan, because we'll have to specify in which bank account the amount would go, right? So let's say if we are disbursing the loan to Karan Sharma with NEFT in this account with this account. This is the customer's bank account. This is the NBFC's bank account, right? So I'll create a disbursal breakup here, right? So let's submit it. Disbursal status, it has to be, what is disbursal status? Fully disbursed हो जाएगा ना? अच्छा 40 lakhs होगा, सॉरी. सो 50 lakhs टोटल था, 10 लाख रुपीज पहले से डिस्बर्स था, 40 दूंगा मैं तो खत्म हो जाएगा लोन का सारा, राइट? सो लेट्स सी द रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल वंस अगेन. हाँ. So we'll have to change this. We'll have to इसको नया ही खोल लेते हैं, कोई कट गया सब कुछ. I'll again create a tranche. So let's say 40 lakh is remaining, right? We'll make it fully disbursed. We'll create a disbursal breakup of 40 lakh rupees by NEFT, which will be given to Karan Sharma. So let's see the repayment schedule here. Yeah, tranche is of 40 lakh rupees. Now let's create this tranche. Okay, one more option I'll show you. Include broken period. This is the one which specifies whether there would be separate entry of broken period or not. So if there is yes, then there is a separate entry of broken period rate, right? If it is no, would be adjusted in the. If it is no, then it would be collected in this installment only, right? Hmm? 40 का क्या है ना ट्रांस डिसबर्समेंट. There is no separate entry. Because there is no separate entry, so the this installment would be of only 27 days, because this is from 8th to 5th, right? So interest is lesser in this case, so principal recovery is more, right? Because there is no separate entry of broken period here. Okay, so let's create this tranche. Oh. Can you approve it, Sajid? Create 3-4. Is it auto approved? No, it is not auto approved. So the checker would see this screen. Checker would see the tranche amount, whatever maker has given, added everything along with the repayment schedule. Checker would see this repayment schedule also. Approved. So let's go to the loan. Now this loan would be marked as fully disbursed. I can see that this loan is marked as fully disbursed. Where is this option, right? Now there would be two disbursal breakups here. Initially there was only one breakup. Now there is another disbursal breakup here, which has to be paid to the customer, right? So the first breakup, this is the sorry, two disbursal schedules. This is the first breakup, second is the second breakup. Now let's see the accounting entries. So initially when the loan was created, so what would be the accounting entries? Can you guys create it? बताओ. It would be similar to loan creation, right? Because when loan was created, asset was increased by 10 lakh rupees. Now more funds are given. So asset would increase by 40 lakh rupees, right? So let's wait for 2 minutes. These accounting entries will get generated. Till then, I'll show you the tranche cancellation option. So now the tranche is given. There is impact of tranche in the repayment schedule, right? If the tranche is given, tranche is made incorrectly in some other loan, then they might choose it to cancel that tranche. So they might go, so there is an option of cancellation in tranche section here under tranche cancellation tab. They'll choose this tranche which was created, then they'll cancel it, right? Once the tranche is cancelled, we have the history of repayment schedule. We simply replace the new repayment schedule with the previous one, right? So this is the tranche cancellation option. After a tranche is done, we'll make the payment. So just like loan creation, there are two transactions in loan creation: creating a loan and making its payment. Similar to tranche, there are two transactions: creating a tranche and making its payment. So until the payment is done, there would be a liability in books. What was the liability while creating loan? When we create a loan, there is a liability in which amount is parked, which gets zero once payment is done. What was that liability? Control. Disbursement control account, right? So there was a liability called disbursement control account when loan was created. It got zero when acha, payment is not done. And this is a testing loan, so there is no payment done for the previous tranche also. So ideally there should have been a payment. Here there is no payments. So we'll create a payment. So let's first see the tranche entries. We'll go to accounting ledgers. Who'll explain me these entries? There are only two entries. Very basic. On the loan account to disbursal control account. So it is very basic. Loan asset is increasing and my payment liability is also increasing. So loan is debited. Disbursal control account, which is a liability to pay to customer, would be credited, right? So these are accounting entries. If we would have adjusted charges while creating tranche, so there was option of adjusting charges here, right? Yes. If we would have chosen these to be adjusted, then there would have been accounting entries of charges also. Here, the charge would have booked, the liability would have reduced, just like a new loan. While creating a new loan, we can adjust charges, right? So the liability of payment would reduce. Similarly, in tranche also, the liability of payment would reduce if we adjust charges. Clear? So these are the accounting entries of a tranche. When will this disbursal control account become zero? When? बताया तो पूछ रहा हूँ उसको मैं सही बोला था पहले when money is given to customer after that this would get zero just like new loan, right? Clear? So if you go to payment form, we'll be able to see the latest tranche. We can make payment for that tranche. Let's make payment also. So I'm paying from this bank account. So why is it disabled? Yeah. Acha, allocation. So I'll allocate entire funds here, entire 40 lakh rupees in this breakup. Then I'll submit it. Can you approve this 335? Now once payment is done, this breakup would be marked as paid, right? Okay, payment is approved, I guess. कर दिया? Yeah, payment is approved by the way. Auto, I guess it is auto कर दिया ना. So when once payment is done, this entry of the that breakup would be marked as paid here. Clear? I'm not sure how it is being marked as paid if, without payment. This might be a because it's a testing one. Payment status.
Bank experience pending.
वो अलग है चलो. Fine. So accounting entries of payment would be this. So who will explain the accounting entry of payment? बताओ. अभी आई नहीं है. बताना है तुम्हें. नहीं आई है. देखना नहीं है तुम्हें खुद को बताना है. 40 लाए हो तुम बताओ ना यार.
Payment run set क्या बोले disbursal control.
हम्म.
Disbursal
हम्म. किसका गेस्ट. तुम कॉन्फिडेंटली बोलो ना जब सही बोल रहे हो तो. इतना ऐसे. So after payment is done, this liability would get zero. So 40 lakh would be debited against bank because we are sending funds from the bank. Money has reduced in the bank. So the bank would be credited, right? So the entries would be bank account, this disbursement account, control account debit to bank credit, right? Clear? This was about tranche. Any questions in tranche? No questions? Okay.
So is there any curtail charge?
The NBFCs might can take charge on anything, so they might. So generally for curtailing, yeah, they would definitely apply charge on curtailing because they lose on the interest of the remaining amount, right? So just like part payment, they'll also apply charge on curtailment. Logically, it is valid also for the NBFC because initially they thought that they'll earn on 50 lakh rupees. Now they are earning only on 35 lakh rupees. So they'll add some charge. So yes, there can be a charge on loan curtailment. So they can add that charge from here. There's no charge, such charge created, but they can create a charge of curtailment and then add it here, right? Any other question? No? Okay.